Hello, my name's Keith Macpherson. My equity number is 00660611, and I'd like to add my name to those protesting against the compulsory redundancy being imposed on Lauren Boswell in the Glasgow office. It seems to me that the conflict surrounding this decision arises largely from very different views on what our red lines should be, what are the things we should consider thinkable or unthinkable before looking for solutions. For many of us, myself included, it's unthinkable that we should impose compulsory redundancy on anyone, far less a man who has served the union so faithfully for over 30 years, just before Christmas and in the middle of a time of great instability and uncertainty for everyone. It seems inhumane and cruel and disregards the debt of gratitude, the respect and consideration we owe the man for his service. Furthermore, we see it as a waste of the years of experience he's built up, the innumerable contacts and good professional relationships built with members, employers and the Scottish Government. These are an asset to the union and should not be thrown away lightly. We would take this as a given, and our search for solutions would proceed from that. Clearly, Paul, your unthinkables are different. I'm sure they're sincerely held, and I don't think you're a cruel and inhumane person, but I fear that the premises you start from, the things you find unthinkable, are leading you to make decisions which effectively are cruel and inhumane and wrong. And with genuine respect, I'd ask you to step back and consider whether the paradigm you're working from, what you find unthinkable, the parameters you're using to frame your thinking might be wrong. One of these unthinkables seems to be the idea that if the metrics identify an inequity in the number of organisers in Scotland per member or per amount of work that needs done relative to the average nationally, this is an intolerable and unfair situation that must be rectified, if necessary, through compulsory redundancy. I would question that. I can understand why, if you're looking to make savings, it makes sense to use these metrics to identify areas where you may be able to make savings while minimising the impact on the work of the union. I appreciate that you're no doubt motivated by a desire to make decisions which are evidence-based, but surely it has to be recognised that no set of metrics can capture, numerically quantify and take into account everything of value and every pertinent consideration in a situation. That is where it's your responsibility to exercise your own discretion by supplementing what the data suggests with your own judgment on the aspects the metrics don't and can't quantify. The metrics should be your servant, but at the moment it seems like you're letting them become your master. Here are some things I don't think the metrics can measure or take into consideration. Apologies, by the way, if I'm repeating what others have said before me, but I think it all bears repetition. 1. While it might make sense to use these metrics to determine staffing levels if you're setting up regional or national offices from scratch, dismantling something which already exists is surely a more problematic matter. In Scotland, members have an excellent relationship with the union, and in Lauren we have someone who has the years of experience, the contacts, established relationships and experience in dealing with the devolved administrations mentioned earlier, a resource which presumably the metrics don't take into account. Why throw that useful resource away? If the status quo ain't broke, why fix it? Of course, you feel that Scotland's allocation of 2 organisers is unfair, but I'm not aware of there being a burning sense of injustice concerning this among the membership nationally. What's the point of a cure which creates worse problems than the ones it aims to solve? To use a fashionable phrase, is this perceived unfairness really the hill you want to die on? 2. The metrics presumably don't take account of the moral responsibility you have to treat a worker of 30 years standing who has served the union as faithfully as Lauren has, with dignity, respect and gratitude. Making him redundant against his will at Christmas and during a time of insecurity and national crisis does the opposite of that. Employees, contrary to what your metrics may represent them as, are not simply a raw material, a resource that you have no responsibilities towards. To quote Arthur Miller, you can't eat the orange and throw the peel away. A man is not a piece of fruit. Maybe you could allow yourself the latitude to step away from the metrics and indulge your sense of compassion. 3. The metrics don't take account of the loss of the moral high ground when the union is challenging employers' unfair working practices. 4. There may be aspects of the union's work in Scotland which are which are quantifiable but which haven't been captured by the metrics you're using. Work with involved administrations, for example. Unfortunately, from what I understand, you haven't revealed in detail what these metrics are, so we don't and can't know what they may or may not have missed. Perhaps in a spirit of transparency, comradely respect and cooperation, you could explain them in detail to the membership. Another given in your argument, which is worth questioning, is the accuracy of your predictions about the financial futures of the union, and particularly the idea that this redundancy is unavoidable if equity is to survive as an independent union. Is this really the case? Does a union really stand or fall simply on the basis of whether Lorne Boswell remains in post? While it's understandable that you want to anticipate problems and deal with them promptly, is there not also a concomitant danger, one of taking action prematurely on the basis of predictions which turn out to be over-pessimistic? Despite the dire situation for performing arts during the COVID pandemic, with vaccination rollout in sight, is it not possible that the business could start to recover, with everything that implies for the potential to increase revenue for new membership? Would it not be prudent to wait a while before making irreversible decisions to see what transpires as the country emerges from the pandemic? Is there not something to be said for sitting it out and waiting for more stability and certainty, given the difficulty of making accurate predictions in chaotic times? Anyway, these are my thoughts. I implore you to reconsider your decision and to have proper consultation with members. Thank you.